the key for me is not only working with them but meeting them in person. So one of the factory we work with actually flew down here, and we're meticulous in terms of documenting, what we're putting into the paddle, right? So a lot of factory they don't like to give you all that.
All the companies in China that does business, I would say 95% are legit, right? Because if you think about it, everything is made in China. They have a reputation of being quality now. It's not 30 years, 20 years ago where, I mean, there's thousands of brands out there. Why should he push yours? Right? I mean, it's a relationship game, right? In the city and I'm working 60 If the brothers on the L, then I think you know the word. All the rest be in the luggage and it's going to a turn. Everybody in the...
Okay, welcome back to the Pickleball Bros podcast. Today is a very special edition because we have a paddle company. The paddle company's name is KONNEK Sports, and we have the two owners of the company here with our good buddy Eric Lim, also in Osaka right now. So let me introduce them. Okay, so we have Jeff Tsang and Steve Trang here, all the way from California or West Coast. Am I right?
Yes. Yep. Yes.
Okay. All right. Great. So great to have you on. It's a big honor for us. You're the first paddle company to join the Pickleball Bros podcast. We're growing the channel now, so this is a great help for us. And also, I hope we can help you guys let people know about your company and what you guys do.
Perfect. Okay. Great.
Okay, great. So first question off the bat, who is Jeff and Steve, and how did you get started in pickleball?
I'm Jeff. A little bit about my background. My background is kind of all over the place. I used to be in the banking industry a long time ago, before the great financial crisis, if you will, the subprime crisis. So I was a mortgage banker for different banks like HSBCs and Wells Fargo.
Wow.
So until about 2007, 2008, when that whole thing crashed, I got into used car business. So I owned a dealership for many years as well. And until about 2013, I met this guy, and we started manufacturing vape devices. So we were, for a while, that's the reason why we have some background in manufacturing, because we used to do business together. And now we're doing business again. So from that point on, we gained a lot of knowledge on, how the manufacturing process works. That business, unfortunately, kind of went sour, and we started this business again around this year. So the pickleball business is very new to us, but it is not, how should I say this? It's not new for me personally, because it kind of came naturally for me. I used to play tennis. So pickleball was kind of an easy transition for me, as well as a great way for me to, I'm old and I can't play tennis like I used to. So this is a great way for me to get exercise. And I think it's a great sport for me personally. I love it. So I play once or twice a week consistently. So.
Okay. Yeah, I heard you guys just was invited to a pickleball game, and then you started doing it, and then you just fell in love with it, something like that.
Yeah. So one of our friends introduced us to the sport. I mean, I've seen it before I got started in this business. I've seen pickleball. I just wasn't sure what it was, right? But like anything, once you get into it, it becomes a lifestyle for you. So
okay, great. So what about Steve?
Yeah, so my name is Steve Trang. I'm actually my background's always been in technology, actually, very, very, very technical, right? Been doing technology, infrastructure, do a lot of traveling overseas, building banks on the financial side of it. Also, I'm an entrepreneur myself, very into business, especially developing and business development. So again, I met Jeff through the process of starting the previous business, like you mentioned. And then, I think when we closed that business, we did have a very good, tight working relationship with me and our partners. Not very often when you work with friends together that end up very close together, actually. And one day, my buddy Edward, who was actually one of our co-founders as well, approached us and goes, "Hey, what do you think of the idea of making pickleball machine, actually, like a pickleball launcher?" And then at that time, we're like, "Hey, let's look into that." So we start, getting to the sports, learn how to play. got pretty addicting because we play golf as well, and this was another sport that was like, hey, you know what? It's actually pretty fun sport to play as a group, and you know, kind of like express, you know, have team camaraderie, right? So with that said, we're like, hey, you know, beside I proposed the idea like beside doing a launch or what if we start building our brand like we did before and start ground up again, you know, and we circle that idea and basically start coming up with different names of the company. We finally came up with the name KONNEK Sport because again, through our relationship, we were connecting each other with, you know, our business, our relationship, stuff like that. And then we're like, how do we bring people to the sports? And that was really the idea was that we came up with the name KONNEK as well. So that's kind of how we started. And then a lot of background in working with Asia, because again, working with China and the factories and overseas, you know, there's a lot of quality concern, you know, Q&A, and you know, I'm pretty sure anybody that buys a product can buy a product, but when you receive it, you always worry the quality. And
Right.
one thing about between me and my partners, we really care about what we do. So every product that we do, we want to make sure that we're giving them the consumer a very quality product, right? It's one of those things where just like me, like I say, my background is technical, right? You cannot cut corners, right? You gotta do things right in order for things to stand, right? And if you don't do it right, it's gonna collapse. So that's kind of always been always our belief. So we went through the route of, you know, sourcing factory, meeting them, you know, going through the whole process of baking out the whole paddle and stuff like that. And because we're so technical, it allows us to kind of bring in some of these aspects and go question these material layers and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, great. So I make paddles myself. I make the
Nice.
Osaka paddle. It's a foam core. It's made in Guangzhou, China.
Okay.
It was really easy to make. I mean,
Yes.
it was just like this lady approached me through Instagram and I just said, okay, let's just try and make one. And then they
Yeah.
designed it. I sent them some AI photos and it's pretty good. It's a souvenir item. It's not a performance paddle.
Yep.
But you know, when people come to Japan, they want something to take back. So I have like Osaka Castle or a samurai on there, and
Nice.
it's what it is, you know. But I'm not marketing aggressively like you guys. Tell me what are the challenges that you have and where your paddles made? If you can tell us that, that'd be great.
Want to take that one? Or
Sure. So I think the challenge would be a couple of things, right? It's consistency. I think the key is to understand the consistency. So I'm pretty sure everybody will see that on social network. You'll get, you know, factory constantly reaching out to you, asking you to make a product, right? The challenge is, and anybody can a factory, but in China, there's a lot of we call like middleman jobber, and what they do is they propose as a factory, but end of the day, they're outsourcing it to another factory or someone to put together. We like to vet it out, and one of our practices is beside vetting out the vendor, we want to make sure we go through the whole thorough, you know, understanding what they do. And the key for me is not only working with them, but meeting them in person. So one of the factory we work with actually flew down here, and coincidentally, one of our business partner that it was actually their aunt, is his aunt's factory. So which is another pro that I see for us, right? Because you want to work with someone at least we know they're not gonna change on you, or at least through relationship, they're not gonna jeopardize that, right? So that was one of the key factor for us. The challenge, like I said, is to keep it consistent, you know, understanding the material, the layer. So of course there's a lot of the language barrier that you're gonna encounter, right? So lucky for us, Jeff speaks Mandarin very well and fluently, and so he can help us do a lot of the translation. And then the other part is we're meticulous in terms of documenting, you know, what we're putting into the paddle, right? So a lot of factory they don't like to give you all that, you know, 9 yard, you know, information. We like to chase for that. Like where's your certification? Where's your material coming from? Is it coming from Japan? If you did, can you give me a certificate that shows it, right? So we're very pressing on that, and that's kind of what we, again, just based on practice, right? We do that very due diligently.
Okay, let's take a look at your webpage while we're
Sure.
talking because I think people want to know your paddles and your products. Is this the correct one?
Yep, that's
Sorry
connectsports.com.
about,
Right.
sorry about the other time. So maybe you want to tell us about your paddles and the price range that you decided and what's it about? Is this
yeah,
your top of the line paddle right here, the Prestige?
yeah. So I'll take this one. So our paddle, we have three different paddles right now. We're coming out with a foam paddle ourselves, a performance one. It's coming out soon. But for right now, these are the paddles that we have. This one that you're looking at right now is called the Prestige. This is our power paddle, one of our more popular one. So power paddle because the surface is a 3K surface, followed by a couple layers of the T700 carbon and a layer of fiberglass. And then the core is your PP honeycomb. Now, all of our paddles, including this one, is a 16 millimeter, and the grip is about 5.5 inch. And these are all certified. So all of our paddles are certified. And these are what you would normally call the Gen 2 paddle. Okay. So it's a good starter paddle for anybody who is into the game for the first time. And if they want to take it for training purposes, it's a great paddle to start. This paddle particularly is very popular among women and also younger kids because they don't have enough power. They need that extra power with this paddle. It gives a lot of pop. I'm gonna be very transparent is that these paddles for a advanced player is probably not gonna cut it because they're probably gonna need some even more powerful and better, right? Like for example, like your Gen 3 and Gen 4 paddle. That's kind of like where things are kind of heading right now. And those are the paddles that people are using. And again, we are coming out with those paddles too, but we came out with these first because we're a new company. So we want to attract new crowd, right? We want new customers that will follow us down the road, that will buy our paddles, like basically be our patriot, be our fan, if you will. So our strategy is to go to basically every event and do just that. So yeah, this is one of our this is actually the most expensive paddle right now that we have. The other two, which I'll explain, which the next one, which is actually I would say one of our best selling paddle, the Elite.
This one?
The Elite paddle is our flagship paddle because it has our logo right on the paddle. Kind of like Selkirk, if you will. And this paddle is very good because it's what I call the neutral paddle. So what that means is you're using your own strength and your own control to play with the paddle. People with a lot of power, a lot of teenagers who are using our paddles like our paddle because they get to do everything themselves. Like they don't have to rely on its power. This is a very good control paddle. So it plays well in the kitchen. And if you have a lot of power already yourself, it plays well in the back. And it doesn't go out of bounds easily because it is controlled. And again, this paddle is also a PP honeycomb. It's layered with 2 layers of T700 carbon fiber, followed by a fiberglass. And the surface is basically it's not granite. It's
Tori.
It is Tori, but the surface is I think they laced it, right? Or yeah. So it has grits on it. It has grits on it for you to slice and all that stuff, but not as gritty as the Prestige, but pretty good. And again, it's very neutral paddle, and like in my opinion, I would say 8 out of 10 people that buy this paddle are men. Okay, men that will buy this paddle. So it's one of my favorite paddles because I use them myself. So that's in general, in a nutshell, what Elite is all about. The last one, which is Sub-Zero, this is the only paddle that we have that doesn't have edge guard. This paddle is kind of like, similar to Selkirk. It has that smiley face in the bottom. This paddle is our hybrid paddle. So for this one, a lot of people like to play in the kitchen with this one. It does really well. It's not one of my favorite, but there's a lot of the older crowd, people who are in their 60s, 70s like this paddle.
Yeah, this is a power paddle. You get a lot of power out of this one.
Right,
I
right.
know this
So they
brand.
like it because it doesn't it helps them right with the game. So again, this one, the difference with this one is it's the same. It's still PP honeycomb in the middle, but the surface is granular surface. So it's really gritty. So it slices the ball really, really well. It's what I call a defensive paddle, if you will.
Okay, nice.
I do use the paddle. It's just that out of the three, if I had to put in order, I use Elite first, followed by Prestige, and then I use this one. It really depends on who I'm playing against and how I feel. Then I will use that paddle accordingly. That's the price range is the price is 109, just like Elite. So
Okay. Yeah, a couple questions. I wanted to know about factories in China. Like my factory is in Guangzhou, so that's like a manufacturing, area. And
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that I haven't been there, but I'm pretty sure they have the sales office and they do their own manufacturing. It's not, subcontracted out. So, but anyway, the paddles are pretty good. So, like, do you know like what area of China they're legit and what areas are not? I'm assuming you did a lot of homework before you chose your manufacturer.
So let me break it down for a little bit for you how that works. It's not that they're not legit. All the companies in China that does business, I would say 95% are legit, right? Because if you think about it, everything is made in China. They
Mhm.
have a reputation of being quality now. It's not 30 years, 20 years ago where if you hear it's made from China, they think it's crap. But right now, everything made in China is great. So there's no reason for anybody to try to fool you. What I can tell you is that the way I break down manufacture doesn't really matter what they are. Yes, of course, Shenzhen and Guangzhou is the place where all the manufacturers are beat. You got factories in Shanghai too, as well. They make paddles as well. It's just they're all over the place, but they're more concentrated in Guangzhou and Shenzhen. Okay. What I can say about factory is that there's like three types of factory. There's a tier 1 factory, and there's a tier 2 factory, and there's tier 3 factory. What a tier 1 factory consists of, they're what I call a true manufacturer. So for example, like the factory we deal with that make our paddle, they're like tier 1 because they have their own machine that makes the paddle. They have their own assembly line that puts the paddles together. They have their own machine to test these paddles for you before you send it to the USAPA office here to see if it will pass. At least give you some idea how, what's the PP core ratio, your twist rate, all that stuff, right? And your twist and your weight. So they'll test all that before they let you know if it will kind of like at least with certain guarantee that if it's gonna pass or not. So those are your tier 1 factories. Then there's tier 2 factories, right? Tier 2 factories are people who don't have all the machines to make the CNC machines to make all the necessary components to put the paddle together. They do have their own assembly line that puts it together, but they don't have, say, a CNC machine to cut the paddle. Okay. So those are tier 2. And then there's tier 3. Tier 3 factories are the ones that don't have anything. They're basically a broker. So like you go to them and they take your order and they go to these factory, the tier 2, tier 1 factory, and they make it for you. Right. The advantage of that is if you deal with the tier 3 factory is you're not subject to a high MOQ.
Okay.
So like if you only want to make 50 paddles or 100 paddles, you go to one of these because the tier 1 factory and the tier 2 factory has a higher MOQ requirement. They don't want to do 100 paddles for you. They usually want to do it at least 500 or more or 1,000 to start. Okay. So if you're a small company, you don't go to tier 1 unless you got deep pocket, right? And you got a great marketing campaign that you can start doing selling these paddles. Otherwise, you're gonna go to tier 3 or tier 2.
Well, that's a
And
great
so that's really
explanation.
where that's my experience.
Okay.
So, but if you do want to make quality stuff, you most likely want to go to tier 1, tier 2, because then you can make it right. Because then they can do all the testing for you too,
Okay,
right?
great. Yeah, that's great information. Yeah, because a lot of people want to know, excuse me, about how to make pedals.
Now we like to be transparent. I mean, we're on this podcast, so we're not here to, we're here to share everybody, help each other out, share information. So,
Great, great. So, yeah, so I think my supplier is tier three, and she's an
that's
agent
fine. I mean,
for,
everybody starts that way until they get
yeah,
bigger, and then they'll move on, right?
yeah.
So
But what
we
comes
deal with tier
is
three too.
is
So
quality. So sorry to interject. Yeah, what comes is pretty, pretty good quality. I haven't had any issues yet with any of the paddles. So they probably produce, and they want me to order a lot, but I think the MOQ she'll do 20, you know, but I just use the demo price. Like maybe I want 5 or 10, something like that maximum. So let me ask you about the technology and how close can you get to the manufacturer in making exactly what you want? Because I see a lot of clones out there, and Eric sees a lot of clones, I'm sure, and you know it comes close to what's out there, like technology wise, like the clone for the Yola Perseus 4, but obviously it doesn't play the same. It's not the same. But my manufacturer says she can make something pretty similar, and it is what it is for the price. I mean, how close are you to like getting technology to that level where it should be? I think that's what I want to ask.
you want to take this one, Season?
I think to answer your question, like if you're talking about like people can clone, right? I'm sure a factory can clone anybody, right? Usually, they'll buy a sample of the paddle and they'll strip it, and these are not, I would say, rocket science, right? Anyone can look at the material and take it apart and really reverse engineer it, right? That's what a lot of these factories do. They
Mhm.
buy a product and they do the same. In our case, when we deal with our factory, like I said, is we like to be very, I would say, unique in a way, because I believe in one thing, right? Like if, in order for us to distinguish ourselves different from the other brand, like we have to provide them what we want as a brand, as a product. Like we define the surface, the grip, the type of layers and everything, right? That's what we kind of put that as a part. I don't think there's a true like right or wrong way, because again, people put these stuff together. Even the foam, right? Anyone can inject the foam and cut a few holes, but there's no like true science behind that until they start testing it and getting feedback. And one thing what we do is part of our process is we have paddles that we create, and during our creation we would call it prototype 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Mhm.
We'll send it to ambassadors, and ambassadors will take it and give us feedback, and I have Google Sheets as my feedback form, like, hey, what do you think of this product? What do you think of the bounce from the scale 1 to 5? I like to take data. I'm a more data guy, right? I take the data and I put these together, and then we're like, okay, based on the feedback, I think we could go this route, or based on this feedback, I think that we should go with a more lighter paddle, etc. Right? So that's kind of how we're engaging ourselves. So for our foam paddle, for example, we got some prototypes that's coming already, like that's in the works. It's we have 3 variations, and we're not finalizing that yet until we get it here, and then from there, take it to the next stage, which is really testing with our end user. So I don't know if Jeff told you, but we work very closely with the local recreation parks ambassadors, right? And end of the day, these ambassadors that are running these local parks, they have a lot of players that they maintain, and these players have a lot of very good feedback. So we value their opinion, and that's really where we're getting our feedback with
Yeah,
from
that's
most
what
of
I
them.
was going to ask you later on. Okay, same
Oh,
thing
okay.
on that. Yeah, okay, that's good. So I wanted to ask about your certification, and that's always a issue with paddles and paddle
Yes,
manufacturers. I see that some of your paddles are approved by USPA and some are pending approval.
correct.
So
So
recently, I
when we,
heard this paddle company Gamma. I don't know if you heard of them.
Yeah.
They're in Pennsylvania apparently, but they went to USPA and said, we don't have enough funds to pay for the PB Core registration, which apparently was like $70,000 just to register, and then $3,000 per paddle. And the guy was telling me his story and stuff, and saying that, players that play with Gamma are, 5.0. We don't have anybody, they don't have anybody 6.0. So how can you ask a 5.0 player to pay this much more for a paddle? Something like that. That was that issue. Could you let us know what challenges you have with certification?
I think the the challenge of certification is again the requirement is constantly changing, right? I mean, if you were to submit like a year and a half ago, you're talking about 1,700 submission, right? And then you go now, you submit it's about almost 4,500 roughly to even submit a paddle. So the prices continue to increase. But not only that, I think also USPA they have more requirement that's in play, right? So obviously they recently added the PP core as a requirement, which throws a curveball, not just to us, but to everybody actually, right? So anybody that was previously approved, technically, if they were to resubmit again, there's a good chance it's not going to get approved again, right? So now what we're doing is we're taking that spec requirement that they have, and again, like Jeff mentioned, the factory, right? We're taking these specs and giving to the factory that like the tier one factory that has a machine, and kind of plugging those number in there, and then making sure that when we test, we meet that requirement basically, right? So again, our paddle when we developed it, we did created a paddle based on our spec, but then we have to fine tune it, again, just to meet the requirements basically. So if our paddle becomes too poppy, we have to make some adjustment from the factory level, whether it's adjusting the carbon fiber, changing how the weave intertwine, right? Modifying that without changing the whole integrity of the paddle, right? But that's kind of the tweaking process, right? That we have to go through. And obviously, as far as the cost for certification, it's not cheap, right? So remember, if every line you have and you start adding paddles to it, you're definitely going to be spending a fortune for that. It's not cheap. And I think that eventually by next year, my gut feeling is it's going to go to even the 10,000 range to even submit per paddle per variation, right? So keep that in mind, right? That would become eventually the future.
I see. Okay, so yeah, there are a lot of challenges there. Okay, yeah, thanks for sharing that, because yeah, we always think about those things, and it's a challenge if you want to be in, everybody asks it, is it certified? Is it, but they're
Yeah.
not PPA pros, but they still want certification.
Yeah.
So it's like put you on the spot.
Yeah, so I'm curious about, obviously there's a lot of companies out there and it's pretty saturated. How does a company like you guys differentiate from any other paddle company? Is there enough tier one factories where you can have your paddle to be completely different from other companies? Because I've used the clone actually myself, from a friend. It was like 35 bucks from Temu. And honestly, it played almost like the Yola Pro 4. Just the handle was a tiny bit different. They didn't specify how much of a clone it was. So because of that, it didn't play exactly the same. And I actually didn't like it because the handle had like a soft butt end. But everything else was the same pop, the same sound. Um, yeah, so how many tier one factories are there and how do you differentiate? And how does that even work? Because like a lot of companies can just make the same paddle, right?
So so like a lot of the tier one factories, they will sign some kind of an NDA with a big company already, not to share the information with other people. I mean, I don't know how much they enforce it, to be honest with you, but they do. You could sign one, right? Um, and to be honest, you know, like okay, let me give you an example. Big companies like Selkirk, Carbon, Hula, they don't just make it with one factory, right? So a lot of times, a tier one factory, let's just say like Selkirk, like Boomstick, they probably made 500,000 paddles already, if not more, right, in the world. One factory can't handle it all, so they give it to other factories to do it. Now, when they give it to other factories, because you didn't sign NDA with those factories are gonna just open it up, cut it open, and see what it looks like inside. And so once they have the knowledge of what it looks like, now it's like, well, it's leaked. Now they can sell it to Temu or whoever wants to make similar paddles. So that's what happens. And so, yeah, you're going to get a lot of clone out there that's going to feel almost exactly like the real one. But that's just the nature of how it works. There's nothing you can do about it. But the difference is you know you got it from Temu, and you know it's not the original one from Selker. And so in a nutshell, I guess you can only try to protect as much as possible. Like, for example, like carbon, right? They have that patent on their paddle, the foam cut, right? But how much can you enforce that? Because as soon as another factory sees what it looks like, they show everybody in the world how it's cut, and all you have to do is do similar cuts, and there goes your patent. Because as long as I make a few changes on the cuts, it's no longer look like yours, and you can't do anything about it. And so I'm not really copying you at this point. So that becomes a problem. Is like we dealt with the same thing when we're manufacturing vape devices. You can't stop them from copying, but at the end of the day, the only thing you can do is, hey, if you're not buying it from us, it's not real, right? And just depends on how you. I mean, it's a mentality thing. Like, if you know you're buying a fake one, even though it's exactly the same, you're gonna feel it's not legit. As opposed to buying it from directly from Selker, from their website, you know it's real. Then you feel you feel better because it's a mental thing. But you really can't differentiate the difference unless you're a pro. Like, you can know how to look at it. They can make exactly the same. And like Eric says, it plays the same because the material, in fact, is the same. I mean, they might be sourcing it from different vendors. For example, the T700 carbon surface may not be from Japan. That's the only difference, right? Your 3K surface may not be from a certain vendor, but they're a 3K surface nevertheless. So it's ultimately, I would say, it's like 95%, right? The same. So that's the challenge that you have to face, and that's kind of the challenges that everybody has to just deal with when they sell their paddle here in the United States. So it's all about marketing, like how you market your stuff, right? You have to have a certain image. So,
well, I think another challenge would be, again, given that it's a brand company, right? So when Jeff mentioned our previous company, right, we did created a brand. It became so popular where we actually got cloned ourselves, right, by China. And we got directly from our source manufacturer using our design, our own, certain invention that we did that made it unique. And the fact that when we got cloned by another factory, they start flooding the market. The only way we had to do it is submit cease and desist to any local retailers. But you cannot do it in China because guess what? Unless you're registered as a company in China and you have a brand in there as well, then you can send your cease and desist in that country. But usually you cannot do that unless you're in that territory, right? So a lot of times it's like whack-a-mole, right? You whack them, they'll come back again another way. But the key, like I said, is buying it from the original source, right? So that's why we focus really hard on building our brand, our image, our website, everything. So when you're buying it through us, you're getting it from at least a vetted source versus a third party.
Got it. Okay, let's switch gears now. Let's talk about your ambassadorship and how you are popularizing your brand and your product in the United States right now.
Yep.
And maybe we can help you with Japan and Asia.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Sam, Sam.
Yeah.
He's an ambassador. He's actually a legitimate ambassador. He has a license to teach. He's a USA ambassador. And he's been helping us a lot, right? Promoting our, not just the paddle, but our certified professional balls as well. So, he went to Japan and he was able to carry some of our stuff over there to show off. I gave him some shirt to promote. and hats. Um,
Yeah, I appreciate
so-
that. We use that. We passed them
oh,
out
did
to
you?
Hokkaido,
Okay,
and we use
Nice.
them
okay.
as prizes for our
Yeah,
tournament. So thank you so much for that.
great, awesome. So yeah, ambassadorship is important because they're your bloodline, right? They help you promote. They see people every day at the park, and they're the ones that's pushing these out for you, right? So yeah, that's what we've been doing. In SoCal here, we got a couple of ambassadors that are helping us out. Um, I got someone in East Coast and also maybe in San Diego. But what I found out about this industry is that this is a contact uh, business. So like if I don't see your face or if I don't deal with you on a personal level, there's not much there, right? Like you have to know the person. You got to get to know him as a friend. I mean, there's thousands of brands out there. Why should he push yours, right? I mean, it's a relationship game, right? So the ones that are here in California that I can reach out to physically are the ones that I have the relationship with, right? Now that I see your face, I see Eric's face. Maybe someday maybe we can help each other out here. Like there's no like some of the ambassadors in the East Coast, I don't even see their face. I just text them, I email them. It's very there's no relationship really. So you want to build relationship. That's the only way to grow your business.
We'll kind of go back to again our brand logo, right? Connect, right? Again, we believe it's not just about pickleball, right? It's a sport that really connects people together, right? Like again, I mean, we got this sport, by us friends getting together and connecting together and realize, hey, this is something we can do together as a group. No difference than me going to a park and connecting with ambassador, new players. We met this Asian group that we just recently, sponsored as well too, right? And through that connection, we just met a bunch of people like that we never played with before. But again, now we get to play with them in some little games here and there. Opens the door. So to me, I believe in is just continue to be out there, interact with all these players, right? And again, get feedback, right? Try my paddle. Tell me what do you think. If it's not good, great. I take your comments and how can we improve it, right? So that's kind of where I want to as a team as well, not just me, but gauge it.
So in this industry, it's very important to gain allies. So you want to have a lot of allies, as in people who will support you, that would bring your paddle to different places and show off to other people for you. That's really the main marketing because other than social media, which is great, but this is one of those things that like you got to put it in people's hand and they have to actually use it in order for them to say, hey, this is a good paddle. So you need people, allies that will carry your paddles for you to all these different parks. I'm sure there's a lot of parks in Japan. It's the same thing. You give them a paddle and they help you out because they're your friend. I mean, there's thousands of paddles out there. I'm sure everybody's asking for the same thing. But if they're close enough with you, they will help you promote your product first. Right? So that's the idea. And so, I see Sam carrying like at least a dozen different paddles every day. Right? Because he's got so many people that asking him, hey man, can you help me out? Can you promote my paddle? There's like thousands of people asking him to do this every day, but he's gonna pick who he wants to help. So building that relationship is gonna be important. So you need allies. So that's what I can tell anybody who wants to start a business. You need to have allies. So
Okay, so are you doing anything with the junior program or like kids
yes,
free
yes.
lessons or
We promote, we sponsor kids. We sponsor a team of people actually. We just did an event here in California. They just did a tournament here in iPickle in Whittier. Was it 12 people? 12 people that we sponsored. So it's a way for us to get our name out there. But again, we were limited, right? We only have the four of us. We actually need to be doing this not just on a weekly basis, but all over different places, all over the United States.
Sure.
And that's a very tough job to do because you need a lot of people. So like again, you need allies, right? Like for example, you have a paddle. You give it to me, I'll help you promote. It's cross promotion, right? You help me, I help you. So, you're in Japan, you help us maybe, and I'll help you over here. And like everybody's just collaborating. Because the name of the game is to stay alive right now. Because there's so many paddles out there that I believe in the next couple of years, a lot of people are going to drop off because they can't survive. So the name of the game right now is survival and be relevant, meaning collaboration with other people. Just stay relevant. That's it. Because, there's no way you can sell enough paddles to survive, but you can survive with just partnering with people and they can help you promote your product, promote your name. For me, it's all about the name. Like I want my brand to stay relevant. And so you're going to need a lot of help. And you want to do the same thing. So I will help you too. We help each other.
Okay, great. Yeah. Well,
I was about to say,
I really look up to you guys because you guys are doing something that is, very, very challenging. You know, I don't market my paddles. I just use them as souvenirs. But like you guys, are full on. You guys are challenging the big whale, the big whales out there. That's awesome.
It's hard, yeah.
Not too many people can do that or even try to do that as well. So, Eric, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I looked over your guys' Instagram, and I know that's one way to stay relevant. You guys are relatively a new company. I saw some. I think you did your, I don't know, not reveal back on Cinco de Mayo time, and there were some events like at the Barnes Memorial Park and things like that. Um, how did you go about? Do you hire like another person to help you market, or you just strictly you decide on yourselves to do it? And how do you come up with like a marketing plan to come out with this new paddle for people? Do you just have a demo day, or how do you design that?
Yeah,
What is it?
so you can have demo days, of course, at different parks, but I think no, I'll let you take this one and see. It's fine.
okay, so I think a couple things, right? For us, if you go to our website, you'll see we have a section called news and event. And inside news event, there's a lot of event. And earlier, like, you were mentioning, like, do we sponsor kids and everything like that, right? Like I say, we try to be as engaged as possible, right? Not just to the sports, but even to the community, right, as well. So
Uh-huh.
so under news event, you'll see like the Monster Planet pickleball tournament, for example. These are the kids that we sponsor, the group the players. If you click on that, you'll see them right there. Just click on that. All right, this is just an example that I was trying to explain that like throughout these events, you meet a lot of different players along the way, and you sponsor them, and not only that, but you support them throughout this journey because there's a lot of young kids that are learning this game. As a matter of fact, I think this is a sports that these kids should start being more interactive. I have two kids. I'm trying to get them to go drop the computer and go out and play. Right, that's the piece, the challenging piece. Like I want them to get interactive. So you see these two kids, for example, on the screen. Like these are the two young kids that we got them to play. They're really good player, but we want to motivate them and go, hey, let's just continue playing more, get more other kids out there to play. Right. And then events start popping up when you go to one event. To me, you only can grow as you build event through event, right? So as you go to one event, you meet more people, build your network, go attend another event, and just go from one to the other. We even did like something out of our box, not even pickleball related, like Moon Festival, right? Something that's again just to be out there, how to promote the sports, and then which when we did the Moon Festival was something where, okay, since we're going to a Moon Festival, we're not going to bring in our prestige elite or sub-zero because this is more intermediate players. Let's create a starter kit for someone. That's why we started a striker paddles, right? For entry levels. Hey guys, we want you to get into the game. We want you to start playing the product, right? So that's why when you look at paddle, for example, you'll see one more called striker. I mean, very, very, very low price. We're trying to get people to play, engage them more. That's really, like I said, our objective, right? Was to get more those players involved in the sports more, right? And grow the network, basically.
Yeah, the striker is really just for people who don't even know anything about pickleball.
Yeah.
And they don't know if they even like it. They just want to be able to hit a few shots. These are the paddles that they'll deal with. And honestly, this kind of paddle, it'll last them a month. I'll be honest with you. If they actually love the game, they were going to upgrade right away. They could upgrade to one of our starter paddle, which is the Elite or Prestige or Sub-Zero. Those are your true starter ones. These are just for people who don't want to spend a lot of money at all and just want to try it out. That's it. And so, so we made these paddles specifically for them.
Can I ask, like, okay, if you're a big company like Yola or Selkirk, what percentage of your revenue do you spend on advertising and your sponsorships, like for the pro players? I mean,
there's thousands of brands out there. Why should he push yours? Right? I mean, it's a relationship game, right?
like
We
better than
haven't spent a lot of money on advertising per se, like the TV ads. No, it's more events, events and ambassadorships and meeting people face to face, one by one, getting through traction through website, Instagram. We're building our company organically, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
We're not doing it like trying to blast this thing on TikTok and try to get attention, because I don't believe in that for this kind of business, only because you have to actually use the paddle in order for you to say, hey, this is a paddle that I can play with. And you need people that will help you spread those words. And it's not going to be through TikTok, because TikTok just looks cool, but okay, there could be thousands of people doing the same thing. How do I know which one's good? Because I need it on my hand. I have to actually play with it. So that's why I think this business needs to be grown organically, in my opinion. And it's really tough doing it organically because it's slow. But I think slow is better than trying to just do a TikTok and just try to sell paddles. I think that, you know, doing it this way is more going to be more successful in the long run. And it's harder, don't get me wrong, but I think it's worth it. So
okay. Great.
I mean, there's thousands of brands out there. Why should he push yours? Right? I mean, it's a relationship game, right? So
Yeah, let me ask you about the Asian market, or Japan in general. Have you made any strides to get into the Asian market? And do you have any
yes,
plan to market in Asia?
we
And how do you plan to do that?
I started that approach actually. Again, I noticed Asia is growing really rapidly in terms of the players. I've seen a lot of celebrities that have been, looking into putting their hand on paddles as well. I did, took that quick stab at it and then, engage, several, celebrities that plays pickleball, right? Mainly in the Hong Kong area and Malaysia. Those are the two sector that I was looking at. I didn't tap into Japan yet. I know Japan was has a lot of pickleball as well too. But again, it's really the resource, right? It's how much resource we have to go put out there, right? Like, based on our team, we are focused on trying to build the business, build the brand, and
we don't know if we have enough personnel to go to oversee and push.
Correct.
That's the thing. So
and behind that, we actually went to Utah, for example. We flew to Utah as a whole team, and we went there. We spent a lot of money on that show, right? And the result isn't what you think it is, right? And imagine going now to Asia, right? I think that's a little bit beyond what we're ready for right at this point, But again, we did engage certain people out there. I think if there's anybody out there that's interested that wants to be, try our paddle, they could visit our site, contact us, and we'll definitely be open to send you a paddle to take a look and test it out and be part of our ambassador or trial program, right? We definitely would do that. We want more feedbacks, that's out there.
So add on to what Steve is saying. So yeah, like the group that we're sponsoring right now, they're from Taiwan. So they already have their own group of players from international, from Taiwan to here. They travel back and forth. I was actually invited by them to go play in Taiwan in March. There's a tournament in Taiwan in March. So I think it's one of those private tournament. It's not, it's just for fun. But it's good to do that kind of event because then I get to promote my own product over there, right? I don't know the details, but if it looks good, I would definitely go. That's one way to promote it internationally. You have to actually represent the company yourself by playing the game. So as owners, we all have to actually play this game. Otherwise, you don't have any street credit. Like no one will want to buy your paddle if you don't even play it yourself. You know what I mean? So this is how we like to represent our company by actually playing with it. So
Well, to give you some insight about Japan, a good example is Gamma. They don't have really top players in the world that they sponsor. They just have maybe 5-0s from Japan. They win some local tournaments, and they're on Instagram. But the thing about Gamma is that they're at every tournament. They always have a table, and that's that long-term commitment that's necessary in Japan if you want to have you know, uh, the trust of the Japanese people. And a lot of companies that come here, I've been here 30 years, so I see a lot of companies coming in and out, not only in sports or pickleball paddles, but like other companies as well. So it's going to be like long term if you want to approach Japan, and a lot of people don't have the stamina to do that. That's the kind of situation here,
It's funny you mentioned that because earlier I told you my background. I used to work overseas, right?
right?
And one of the mentalities, if you go there, you don't go there just for a weekend, finish up your job and come back, right? And leave a mess and you leave, some bad taste in your mouth, right? It's that long-term process that you really got to continue developing. And through what I've done in my past experience was that you just don't go there and stab in and leave. You have to keep nurturing it and build. And that's the reason why we're not too ready yet. I mean, we would love to, and once we get our enough resource, but if we do plan to go that route, then we're gonna go full force on it, right? That's really the objective for us. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get your foot in the door with this podcast.
I would love to.
It's the best
I mean,
thing.
we even hire a couple of people help us promote in different areas right now. So they're kind of like they're not ambassadors, but they're a contractor. They work with us to promote our brand. They're gonna go to like different places, set up a booth, and promote our product. So we need a lot of those kind of people, and that's what we're trying to do. So
Okay, good. Yeah, we set up a booth for the Pickleball Pros podcast in Osaka tournament we just had last week. Eric and I.
Oh yeah,
2 days. Yeah,
Picklers just built like pickle courts in Osaka, right? I think that's what Sam was there to.
No, it's Pickler is building courts in Tokyo, but it's not done yet.
Okay.
They have an aggressive strategy. It's kind of a little bit too aggressive, but let's see what happens. They're saying a lot of things, but obviously, if you want a pickler franchise, you need a lot of money to start a pickler.
Yes.
You're getting investors, and some of them came, and a lot of things going on. But we'll save that for another time. Okay, so let me ask this question, and I want to know. So, what is the future of KONNEK Sports, and do you have a vision for the next, let's say, three years, or maybe 5 years?
So we started this company, of course, selling pickleballs, right? That's the start. But that's not our end goal. The end goal is to sell various type of sports equipments, right? I'm just using the pickleball as a starting point. But the goal is to sell golf equipment, tennis, you name it, anything sports related down the road. But of course, we gotta get this pickleball started first, gain a name, gain a brand image first before we do all that. So that's a 3 to 5 year goal. But for the next couple of years, we're gonna focus on pickleball first. And once we are successful in building a brand with that, then we take it to the next level. We'll do other stuff.
Okay, great. So. Awesome. Eric, any last comments?
Putting me on the spot.
I always do that to him.
Yeah, you do that to me.
No, but this has been great information for us. We don't know what it's like to be a mid-sized manufacturer and challenge the pickleball paddle market. It's something that is a big dream, and I applaud you guys for doing it. And we hear a lot of things in Asia, but I'm sure there's a lot of things in America as well that goes on. And I call paddles like Yakuza market because one paddle comes out and everybody buys it, like the Rhombus Ripple. Oh, everybody wanted that one. Then it was, the carbon, foam core. Oh, and now it's the boomstick. Oh, and like the next one is gonna come, and it's worse than iPhone,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Everyone's the cutting edge. If you can just get a little bit of edge on the
Yeah.
person,
Mhm.
I want that paddle,
Yeah.
and then like, they pay premium price for that. Pretty nasty.
Kind of what Jeff and I was saying earlier, right? Our previous venture was doing vape, right? There was a big rush for the latest and greatest, right? Everybody keeps chasing that latest and greatest, and eventually, when the market's saturated, everything now become, the technology got so evolved now at that point, right?
I'm
Similar
sorry,
as
what is the product that you said was Fate? What did you
no,
call
it was a vape device, right? Back in the days when
Vape?
vape
Okay, vape. Okay,
right?
yeah.
Electronic cigarette. We
Yeah,
made
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
devices
I
for
get it.
those.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you remember that, I don't know if you recall,
Yeah.
but everybody was chasing that trend, right?
Yes,
Where they're
yes,
looking
yes.
for the latest technology, like just like our paddles, right? They want the latest paddle, they want the latest one. When there's a new version out there, everybody's gonna chase it right away.
Sure.
Eventually, like I say, any paddle that eventually is gonna get to a point where there's only so much technology can do that then it thinks it's gonna fine tune itself, right? And that's where I think the market will sit, right, eventually. But I'm definitely always open for more innovative ideas. Anything that we can come up with to make the paddle better, experience better. We're always gonna look for that.
Yeah, we're always talking about controversial issues on the Pickleball podcast. And in our last podcast, I proposed that the Selkirk boomstick, it was some of them, the ones they sent anyway to get approved for certification were okay, but the ones that they are distributing, that's out of spec for sure.
Yeah.
It's got to be. It's just too powerful.
Yeah.
I played with it, it's just too beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to say
It's
I'm
a
gonna
pretty
get
good
sued by
paddle.
Selkirk, but I'm not sponsored by them, so it's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, right? I mean,
They did a very good job. I mean, they spend a ton of money on marketing. That's another thing, right? You see the commercials like in the mainstream media. It's not just on social media. You see the commercials like on ESPN, everything. So they spend a ton of money.
they paid money to USPA to get it approved.
To be honest with you, the performance on that paddle is really no different than like a Rhombus,
Really?
even like a Vatic. I mean, they're comparable, right? But
Okay.
Vatic and Friday paddles and your Rhombus, they're not selling $300. They're selling it for like $99.
Mm.
They're
Like Ben Johns didn't play singles in Malaysia and Vietnam in the PPA. I was there for both tournaments I played. I got silver medal in 50 plus mix, but aside from that, we think that Ben Johns didn't play singles because if he lost to an Asian player, they wouldn't sell as many Yola paddles, is my theory. And they sold a lot of Yola paddles. They have that Asian limited edition with the Tutti Frutti colors and the margarita, whatever they call it. They sold a lot of paddles.
yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You got someone like Ben John that plays in Asia, to represent your brand. I mean, you're gonna sell out. I mean, he's the number one player, so he costs a lot of money to sponsor. It's not cheap.
Sure.
Look at that guy, the Vietnamese guy, Duan, with Sidepick. It's the same thing. They paid him $1 million, right? Now he's their sponsor. Now they can sell all the paddles. They're like huge in Vietnam. So it's a money game, right? That's why it costs so much money to get certified a paddle because they're trying to weed out the small player too. If you think about it, right? If you don't have what it takes, you can't come in. And so I've been telling, I said before that this is a survival game right now, and you survive this game. If you survive, you become relevant. Someday, hey, I might just make enough money that I can start sponsoring people too. Like what we're trying to do right now with the kids is hopefully one of those kids can become somebody someday. And then I become the sponsor because they've been using my paddle since day one. So this is kind of the strategy that I'm doing right now is I'm nurturing these younger kids to.
Yeah, well, PPA now is sponsoring younger kids too, like Thomas.
Yeah.
He's from Hawaii.
They obviously copy my methodology, so
they know what
you gotta catch them young. I mean, if they once they become too big, they have too many choices. They don't need to go with you.
Okay, guys, thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Cheers. Bye.
In the city and I'm working 60. If the brothers on the L, then I think you know the word. All the rest be in the luggage and it's going to a turn. Everybody in the